What's going on? What's going on? I'm checking in. This is Dad with the Dad Podcast. Little man doing the homework like always. But this is a special one for me because right here, this is someone that I'm actually meeting for the first time. But this is what the podcast is all about: is people bringing to me people who I think will be perfect for the podcast, and especially at a time right now, man. This man right here is a person that's big into mental health. He's got his feet in the water right now, coaching. So he knows not only personal life, but he knows with the youth and the high school level and the little league level, he's giving back, and that's what I'm all about. But not only is he giving back his time, but he's giving back his knowledge. He started a blog that he talks about personal experiences. He's giving advice. I mean, he's got parents, he's got friends, he's got colleagues reaching out, and that's what it's all about, man. This podcast is for people. I want to shine a light on people who are giving back, especially to the youth. As I always say, man, when Mamba left and when Kobe left, it was a void that if a lot of people lost somebody, and a lot of people they'll say that they cried for the first time around their kids, and a lot of times now people are actually opening up and talking about what they really felt when he left. But the sad part is, before that, a lot of stuff happened and they didn't really want to talk about it. They didn't know how to talk about it. But I think Kobe made it normal to be a male. He made it normal to be a father, normal made to be a human and cry. Especially nowadays, man, you're seeing it more and more where people are asking, like, is it okay to cry? Is it okay to show emotion? And, it's a question that me personally coming out the military, you wasn't really sure that answer. And you need more people actually sharing their knowledge. I had my man Cam Borges on the other day. He talked about he started his group over at his college in Springfield. And he's another one here, man. This is Coach Sim, and he's got his at Dean College, and he's starting. He's going to tell you a little bit more about the blog, and we'll leave a link on there also, because you can listen here, but the knowledge is going to continue with the reading, and hopefully this ain't a one-time thing, man, because we want to spread the word, get a group going, get some more people going, because the more we can help. I mean, I got a friend also, Kelsey. I want to get her on it. She's doing it out in Texas. She's got a blog about the mental health of women. I mean, just to have a male voice and have a young male voice who's in the field with coaching, this is what it's all about. So welcome.
And thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So first and foremost, man, I mean, before we really get into it, I know you're big into hockey and the incident over at Bishop Fee, man. I wanted to say prayers go out to AJ, man.
Yeah, so I didn't read too much about the story, but I had actually a few friends that went there. So they were kind of reposting on Instagram, and I saw the Boston Bruins do the same thing. So obviously prayers out there. I mean, it's a tough situation, and I think it's something that shows the kind of strength like the hockey family, the hockey community kind of has, and for an NHL organization like that to reach out to and give support, I mean, that goes a long way.
I know his accident was crazy scary, but you ever been on the field or anything like that with an injury, a bad one?
I mean, my worst probably was, playing hockey. Obviously contact sport. High school I had 5 or 6 concussions, so nothing really like too bad that was worse. But it was just every time getting one of those kind of, the next one's worse than the next one. So
Exactly, yeah. So I know, I mean, you told me your history a little bit, but jumping right into it, the coaching level, where did the passion for coaching begin?
yeah, so I mean, I first started coaching when I was 16. Started coaching little league. It was the little league I played in. One of my good friends actually got me involved. I played baseball, growing up, and then played my freshman year at Cranston West. Then I actually stopped playing to focus on hockey. And
Nice.
then my friend was already coaching at the time, and he asked if I wanted to volunteer and help out. And it kind of started as one of those things where I just needed to get volunteer hours to kind of, for school and graduation, stuff like that. But then you kind of realize, like, hey, I really have a passion. I really enjoy this. And like at the time, I didn't think really anything of it. But I helped out the first year. That was my sophomore year of high school. And then I continued to volunteer, just help out when I could, because,
Yeah.
when you're in high school, you're busy doing stuff like that with sports and school. So um, then after high school was when I really started to pick up. I became the head coach of the first team in Little League when I was 18 years old. Then I stopped playing hockey because of the concussions right after high school. So then I joined Cranston West as a volunteer coach at the time there. Then I started volunteering with the local youth program right here at Cranston, the Providence Hockey Club. And then one thing kind of just led to another, kind of getting my feet wet. through Little League, meeting some new people, making connections. There's a middle school called Hope Highlands right here in Cranston. It's actually where I went to elementary school. It just transformed into a middle school 4 years ago. They got a baseball team over there, so I applied and became the head coach there, first coach
Nice.
there for that middle school. I was coaching at Cranston West doing hockey. Then I'll do travel baseball for AAU. So started when I was 16 years old, and now 24. So still going, and it's got a dying passion for it. So
Yeah, that's one sport I could never get into was baseball.
yeah,
They
yeah,
always tell me if I can hit a ball, I'd be good 'cause I can catch and I can run. I just couldn't hit it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's tough. A lot of people, you either love it or hate it. Some people say it's boring, things like that. But anytime you're coaching, I think no matter what the sport is, you got to be into it. Every
Definitely.
pitch, every play, things like that. So yeah.
And now, is there a big difference from playing, going from playing to coaching on baseball from hockey?
Um, See that's a question I do get a lot. It's actually kind of easy to answer. Hockey, you got to is every second you got to be paying attention to what's going on because it's always moving.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's a whistle, the play's dead, timeouts, things like that, you get a second to breathe. But every time the play's moving, everyone's on the ice, so you're always looking at the five guys, yelling at someone, looking at something. You can always pinpoint something you got to do. Whereas baseball, I don't want to say it's more laid back, but in between pitches, it kind of takes your time. The game takes longer to play, so it kind of drags out a little bit. So you can be a little more cautious with your time.
Mhm.
But I think hockey, I'm definitely a little more aggressive with, just because of the style of the game, the way it's played. I can yell a little more, be a little louder, and that kind of stuff. But definitely both very enjoyable to coach. So.
What do you think for a young kid, what mentally is easier to have that break or just that nonstop going?
I think it kind of depends on the kid.
Hmm.
I know that some do better with kind of taking some time off, getting that break. But I think for a lot of kids, it's good for them to keep going just because it keeps them involved and it keeps their head into it. Whereas sometimes at a young age, if you're playing a sport and then you take a few minutes off or you go sit down on the bench, then you kind of you might lose them for a little bit. Then you put them
Yeah,
back up there, but now their interest is kind of gone, so you're gonna wheel them back in. So I think it kind of depends on the sport and the kid, but my advice would be just to kind of keep them going, keep them interested, especially at a young age. It's the best way to do it.
I know like we're coaching football. There's sometimes when like a team's running the ball over and
Yeah,
over, our cornerbacks and our safeties are just like
yeah,
looking off and not really paying
yeah,
attention. We're trying to
exactly,
get them to stay focused, but they're not running toward me. They're not throwing the ball. So it's
exactly.
just getting them to keep that focus at a young age, especially with the 9 to 12 year olds.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's a tough age, but
Now, do you
definitely.
prefer the little league level or the high school?
Um, I gotta say, I would probably say the little league level. That's definitely one of the bigger challenges is going from coaching, 9 and 10, 11-year olds to 17, 18-year olds, things like that. But I think with the high school, it's more, you know, me being so close to them in age, I can form like a closer bond with them, and I can
Mhm.
talk more real life things with them. But little league, anytime you coach like young kids, that's what truly brings joy to me because it's like seeing them smile, laugh, and all that kind of stuff. Like they're there to have fun, and there's no stress about it. Whereas high school can be a little stressful. You're playing for something, you're playing to win, that kind of thing, and to go on to college, stuff like that. Whereas little league is not. There's no pressure really. You're there to get them better, to develop the kids, things like that, and they're there just to have fun, have a good time. So, I think the little league, it's definitely easier for me to coach, and it's definitely a little more enjoyable, I would say. But definitely coaching both at two different levels like that is it's a little challenging, but love
I
both.
know, I know. Personally, for me, like doing the coaching, I think it's helped me more than, well, it's definitely helped me more than it's helped them.
Oh,
It's,
absolutely, yeah,
yeah, especially at certain times of the year when like like a kid doesn't even know like how you needed a game so much.
yeah,
Maybe going through personal stuff and if something
oh,
happens on the field or
oh yeah,
I mean I got a kid who I coached when he was in 8th grade
yeah,
and he just committed to Kentucky
no kidding.
and he'll be going to Kentucky next year. He'll be doing throwing a shot put.
Wow,
So he's not playing football, but he's over at Woonsocket now.
yeah, oh,
And
wow,
it's
that's
just like
awesome.
seeing kids who I've coached when they were younger just
Yeah,
develop now,
yeah, yeah.
and
That's one of the
it's
coolest
good,
things.
so good to see.
Yeah, oh yeah, man.
Now you close to the football program over there at all? At West?
Not really. Actually, the majority of my close friends all played football. I'm the
Okay.
only friend in my really close friend group right now that actually played hockey. we all grew up playing Little League together, but then we all
Yeah.
they went football, I went hockey. So I was always at all the games, stuff like that, but never really got into that.
And it was cool to see forget the girl's name, the coach's daughter over at West.
Oh, Alves, yep.
Al's, yeah, she was on Sports Center for making that field goal.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's crazy.
And her brother was a tremendous athlete over there
Yeah, we're
too.
friends with Cam. Yeah, he's over
Yeah.
at Stonehill.
And also, I know Cranston East has always had a big program. Like, how was that competing against them all in your 4 years?
Yeah, see, that's one of the things. So the funny thing about that is, baseball, they're usually competitive with each other. Hockey, for my 4 years, we were a combined program.
Yeah,
Cranston West and East were a co-op. So, but as far as the football went, it was always a grind. It was always a battle. That's always a game that they always circled on the calendar.
hmm
So, my friends, I always talk to them after they get all fired up. They're all excited, getting running out of the tunnel, going out there. And as a spectator, it's like for someone who doesn't really enjoy football to see the kind of competitiveness and the amount of people that go to the game and everyone who's screaming and yelling and how much it means to the city, like at the end of the day, it's like city of Cranston, it's a brotherhood and all that stuff. But on the field, it's like, you're playing to win and stuff like that. So it's always been a very good battle. I'm pretty sure, I think actually East got to beat us probably when I was in high school a couple of times. But I mean, it's always been back and forth for a long time. So it's a good rivalry that they have.
yeah. I know the new mayor. I know his son, Ken Hopkins.
Yep.
Yes, I know him. So he's a good dude. So I know he's gonna definitely keep the
Oh,
sports program going and probably add some stuff too, which is good to have for the kids out there.
oh yeah, no, that's a big thing because Cranston's it's a huge. I think it's one of the biggest sports cities in the state, and we brew a lot of good talent and baseball, football, hockey, stuff like that. So it's good to see, especially him as mayor, someone who comes in who's so involved with athletics too. I think that'll be great for the city and the kids.
Now I know you said you started when you were 16, and you had mentioned about your blog.
Yep.
Was your blog far after, or was that closer to like when did that come about?
So when I went through like high school, I never really felt like I didn't know anything about mental health. That was never a thing to me. So the blog I first started, I think it was 2 years ago. I was actually at URI at the time and was living with a few of my buddies. Like we had a house off campus and stuff. And then I was just going through some real tough personal stuff. And then it was just like one day I woke up with this idea and I was like, you know what, I was getting these chest pains and I was like, I gotta get something off my chest. And I was actually a writing major for a while.
Oh,
Like I was
nice.
big into film and writing and stuff like that. So I was like, let me just kind of put my thoughts to paper and kind of see how it feels. And I just started writing and I was like, you know what? It's almost like someone told me to kind of go do this. So it was about 2 years ago I wrote my first blog. It's actually on my website now, but it's titled like You Never Think It Will Be You, because it took me so long to realize that anybody could suffer from this stuff, because I never expected me, I was like the two-sport athlete captain, you know what I mean, all that stuff, like never expected it to be me. So I kind of just wrote it out about, how people can go through their life happy, all this stuff, and all it takes is one day, something can happen and they can flip a switch, and then how you deal with it after that is kind of up to people. But so I started it 2 years ago, and I think I wrote a blog probably like every 2 weeks for about 6 months, just kind of like how I was dealing with it and just kind of like trying to give people words of wisdom. Like, how can you handle the day, or like, how to handle this as a college student. And then, like in the summers, I get really busy coaching. So I kind of stopped. And then my life kind of got good. I don't want to say good, but like things picked up. Like I was happy and I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I actually stopped writing for almost a year and a half now. But so we just picked back up about 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of times, like, people always think it needs an incident to happen for you to be depressed, or
exactly.
they
Yeah.
think like you need to lose somebody, or they don't really understand that when you battle with it, it could be your daily struggle. You just don't know it, and
Exactly.
especially when you're an athlete, they expect you to be strong and they expect you to be out there. You just won a championship. Why aren't you happy? But they don't know the underlying conditions or the underlying factors that are inside the person. So
Exactly.
being an athlete, man, how was the perception of you writing about something like that, but also being an athlete at the same time?
Well, to me, that was the biggest thing. It was like I had it all written out and everything like that, and I was like, what is going to be the perception when like when I open up about this, how are people like, what are my friends going to say? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to make fun of me or are they going to be supportive? Because none of them, it's a topic that my friend group and I, no one's ever talked about it. And it's a topic that I think get talked about a lot. So I was like, you know what? I just got to roll with it and kind of see what happens. And I was like, worst case, a couple people judge me. Best case, I can help someone else because, I don't want anyone else to go through that or feel like they have to go through that alone. So that was probably the biggest thing I was nervous about when doing it was just kind of like, I'm going from this big athlete to this now. It's almost like a 360. So, but I can't let the nerves, like kind of like what we talk about, can't let the nerves get to you. Got to be able to open up about it. Got to be strong about it. So went ahead and posted it. And after that, it was just like outpouring support. I really want to say life changing. I mean, the people that reached out to me was unbelievable. So it's just kind of like, it's one of the best decisions I ever made was to write that. So that's why I try to tell people now, like, don't be afraid to take that next step. Don't be afraid to open up. Don't be afraid to say what's on your mind. If you're feeling something, don't try to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
Don't try to be that guy. So that's.
And I know, like, in the NBA, like Kevin Love's come out recently,
Yeah.
and DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
And they both come out and talk. And the first reaction was people were shocked because they're both coming off championships or like good runs.
Yeah.
And the first reaction is, you have all the money in the world, you're on a great team. How could you be upset or how could you be sad? I'm like,
Exactly.
It's a lot more to it than just the winning aspect.
Yeah.
Now, have you had any young kids come talk to you, or was it more on the parents aspect?
So I've never had any, like, none of the kids in Little League have approached me, and I think they're still kind of young at that age, 11 and 12. They'll kind of be able to tell, but I have had a few parents of kids that coach in Little League come up to me and say, hey, like, he has very bad anxiety. And when he's in a new setting, especially like if I drafted a kid to my team or something and, he doesn't know anybody, immediately the parent will come up to me and say, hey, this is the situation. But even kids I've had for 3 or 4 years, the parents will come up to me and say, hey, his anxiety is really kicking in now more than ever, and he's getting older. So just kind of like not necessarily sit down and have a talk with him, but just kind of be cautious with as far as a coach, like looking out for, how are the other kids talking to him? Is he picking on them? Are they picking on him? Or is he trying to be cool and fit in or things like that? So you got to kind of monitor, you got to watch that situation because that's a situation where, I'm trying to worry about the game and coach the game. But at the same time, this is also very important where you have a kid who's dealing with anxiety on the bench. And it's like, you want to be able to handle both of that stuff. So I have had a few parents come up to me about it, which to me, one, it just means a lot that they thought about me and they want me to talk to their kids. So, and then I've had a couple conversations with the kids themselves about it, and they're, they kind of understand, like, I'm like, hey, you feel like this way one day, you kind of feel sad and you don't know why, or like, you kind of got a little pain, but you're not really sure why, like you don't know what's going on. It's like, yeah, I was like, hey, it's nothing to worry about. You just got to kind of, at that age, it's kind of easy to cheer them up because you can just kind of, say anything. They don't really know much about the world problems and things like that. And then high school, I've definitely had quite a few kids come up to me, like, talking about personal stuff with them in their life, especially like relationships and stuff like that, bad breakups or anything like that, and how like that stuff can affect your game. Like I've had numerous people, especially in hockey, like our best players like can't go out and score for like 3 or 4 games, and I'm like, dude, like what's going on? And he's like, it's like, oh, like my girlfriend broke up with me 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, dude, you can't let that be on your mind. Like that's
Exactly.
Motivate that, let that motivate you, put that behind you, or like deal with your problem. One of the two. You can't just be thinking about it. So I think the high school age, I've had more kids, and it's definitely easier to deal with only because you can talk to them about everything and you can be more real about everything with them. So, but I definitely have had a lot of people since I came out about that kind of come up to me and, tell me, hey, can you talk to my kid? Or, hey, coach, I got something going on. Can we talk privately? Things like that. So
I know one thing that's tough now, like with the mental health, I think a lot with the media also is like they think that people are using it as a crutch or people are using it as an excuse. So every time somebody does something, like even with the case with the Seattle Seahawks, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. I think it's Dan Wheeler.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, he just got arrested for domestic violence, and the first thing that they came out with, like, it was bipolar.
Yeah.
So now people are using it. Like, you don't know his case. He may really have been. He may. Who knows what. But the first thing is when somebody reacts a certain way, that like he was bipolar or he was he had an underlying condition, and it's so tough because you wanna relate to that person if he is going through something, but at the
Yeah,
same time, you don't want to give him sympathy if it's just an excuse to get a lesser charge.
exactly, exactly. It's a tough thing, especially with pro athletes now. It's like you never know, but
I know, like when I was in the military, we got back. Like a lot of guys I was with, like just the you trying to get used to like normal life again,
oh yeah,
and
oh
that was the hardest part, especially those who like left their wife or fiance, even a girlfriend,
yeah,
and you come back, and depending on how long you were going for, she's not the same person.
yeah, exactly.
So then
Oof.
you have to adjust, and sometimes people, when you're dealing with stuff, you want people to adjust to you, but then they want you to adjust to them. So it's trying to find that ground of the adjustment period for both. Like how do you deal with that when you're trying to adjust and you're waiting for that person to adjust to you at the same time?
Yeah, see, I think that's a great question because it's like as you bring up the media, and especially in today's world, is so many people try to, we want to, the person we want to be is we want to be accepted by society, even
Mhm.
if that means, not being who we want to be. So I think for that, it's just like, people have to take you for who you are. And if they can't, if they want to adjust to how that is, my girlfriend, when I tell her like, hey, I have anxiety, and I'm trying to tell her like there's gonna be days where like I'm gonna be moody for no reason. And I'm like, but you can either deal with it or like, you can move on. Like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. And she accepted that and she, helps me out with that and stuff like that. So and there's people that can accept it and there's people that can't. And that's the thing is, which is why I try to drive so hard for people is people that suffer from the anxiety and the depression from like 14 to 20 maybe or even 22, like they just try to they don't want to open up about it because they don't want to be seen as someone they're not or seen as an outsider or seen as somebody different because it's not the norm in society and it's not the norm that's driven by social media and that's not who we want to be. So it's just like they don't want to be, instead of them adjusting to themselves and who they really are, they're trying to adjust to somebody that they're not. So it's like for me it was just always, you know I don't care what people think about me. I am who I am. And trust me, I was that kid once that was like, oh, I want to be cool. I want to fit in. I want to follow all the new trends, things like that. But at some point, you're just going to be you. You're going to do you, and you'll feel. My biggest thing is you'll feel so much better about yourself, about your life, and about living with like anxiety and stuff like that. If you can just open up about it, be truthful about it. Some people need to talk to somebody, and some people don't. Everyone has their own way of dealing with it. But the first part is to accept it, and then just kind of realize you can't really care what other people think about you. And like, you either gotta, like my friends, I always say, like, we were never, we were like the Sandlot crew. We were very close, all athletes growing up, stuff like that. So this was a new thing that I was trying to deal with. And I was like scared to see how are my friends going to adjust to me dealing with this. And I remember like the week after I posted the first blog, they're like hugging me, like texting me, like, we're just going on my business, like nothing changed. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what I want. I don't want people to treat me differently, talk to me differently. They say, hey, we're here for you. What do you need? Talk to me. What's up? And that's it. We go about our lives. We're still going to do the same things we always do and stuff like that. So for me, that was like, all right, like this isn't the end of the world. I'm not dying. I'm not a different person, and we're not. So many people are affected by it. So I just think it just needs to be, people need to realize that you can adjust to yourself, and if once you're happy with yourself, that's all you need to be happy with. You don't need to care about other people's opinions, social media, all that other stuff. So I think the biggest adjustment for that is just trying to deal with yourself first and accepting the matter, and then just kind of going on from there, kind of.
Now, when you say you talked to your girlfriend about it, was that something you did like right off the bat, or did you have to feel comfortable talking about it first?
Not like right off the bat,
Yeah.
Yeah, me and her have been together for about a year and so now, and obviously, like when you're in a relationship, you're always very happy, and we're very happy, and there was just, especially like with the COVID, like we're both in college, and like last semester, like everything's online, so it's just like you're kind of bored. You're just sitting at home. I'm doing nothing,
Yeah.
and that's one of the other things we can get into after is how to, like, when I'm dealing with anxiety is just kind of to stay busy, kind of do things, but so I wasn't really doing anything. So it was just kind of like days where, we're getting into fights or I'm not, talking to her and stuff like that. She's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, there's really nothing going on. I'm just really, it's just drilled in my head right now that something's wrong with me, but there's really nothing. It's just my anxiety kind of taking over my body. And I said, there's going to be days that this is going to happen. And, she was very supportive and, you know, how to handle it. I kind of told her, I was like, listen, if I get like this, you're just going to be like, hey, everything's okay. It's going to be all right. Just kind of do what you got to do. Take some time to yourself if you need time to yourself. Take a nap. Do what you got to do. But another thing is just kind of getting words of encouragement and people to, being able to support you. That goes a long way because, when you're suffering from, like I have anxiety attacks, once every couple of days or something like that. And I'll text my girlfriend, like, hey, I'm having an anxiety attack. Right away, boom. Call me or text me like, hey, it's all good. It's going to be okay. You'll be all right. Like, take a drink of water, take a nap, something. There's so many ways that you can kind of just breathe and deal with it, stuff like that. But it was definitely something like anytime you tell someone for the first time, like, hey, I have anxiety. So like, this might be a little awkward or there's going to be times where I'm going to be feeling different, stuff like that. It's definitely a little nerve wracking. But again, we talked about like adjusting to people, like if that person truly cares about you and stuff like that, then it's not going to be an issue to them. You know what I mean? They'll be there to help you and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely tough, but
And it's crazy that with people like when you deal with anxiety or depression, but it's something about playing that sport or coaching it, definitely that split second in the clutch time it goes away.
Exactly.
And it's just something that people if you don't play a sport, you don't truly understand.
Yeah.
Like you could be nervous walking down the street or anxious walking down the street, but you want to be at bat in the ninth inning.
Oh, yeah,
it's like you play. When I was playing quarterback, I'll always be nervous on the sideline when the defense is on the field.
Yeah.
But then when I'm on the field, like the nerves go away.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
it works.
Can never explain it, but it's just you want to be the one there, but you don't want to watch someone else doing it for some reason.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
Now, do you still get that feeling with the coaching?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've been a part of some big games in the summer. Me and my friend James Sweeney, he actually helps me out with the blogs and stuff. We coach Little League All Stars, and our 10-year-old team won the New England Championship.
Nice.
Not this past summer, last summer, at our home field like that, and that was a feeling like it was in extra innings. They were bad. We made the diving catch last out. Everyone went nuts. Like it's just when you get that feeling, the chills in your body, that kind of stuff like that. That's like those are the moments where you're like, this is why I coach. This is one of the reasons why the excitement you get back. You can't play sports forever, but that's like get into coaching. So there's always those moments where I love coaching and you see a kid get his first hit. Or someone throw a touchdown pass, or like hits a buzzer beat or something like that. Those are great moments, and then you have those championship moments, though. Those big time plays, big time shots that just you get chills in your body thinking about stuff like that. That's what you miss about playing, but you also get that excitement when you're coaching. So.
Now, when you're on the sideline, when you get those nervous itches, is there something that you do or something that you do to calm yourself? I know for me, for some reason, I'm always digging my the finger right next to my thumb.
Yeah.
I'm always like scratching it right on my thumb, and by the end of a closed game, it's like bleeding a little bit.
No kidding.
And that's just my way of like calming down for some reason.
Yeah. So like, I with like anxiety, like I'll pick my nails, like pick my fingers sometimes. So like if I'm coaching hockey, sometimes I'll do that because I can't, I'm standing on the bench, so I can't like walk around and do much. But I always keep a notepad with me. So during hockey, I'll like smack the notepad against my leg, like if I'm getting nervous. And then coaching baseball, I'm known for it. Parents, my other coaches like this, I pace. I walk up and down, back and forth, just like that. And then sometimes I'll take a knee and just kind of sit there and breathe, relax. I'll kind of see what's going on. But that's one way I burn a lot of calories too, just pacing back and forth. But
parents always tell me when I'm coaching, I never raise my voice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never been a screamer, so like when I'm coaching, I always have the kid come in real close.
Yeah.
And I talk lower, and it's just something I feel like if I say it lower, it forces that kid to pay attention more.
Exactly.
And it forces me like to calm the situation.
Yeah.
Like we had a close game. We won the regional championship.
Yeah.
And it was a tied game, and the coach on the sideline screaming and yelling, and we have the ball. I'm just walking over, calling the play, calm. And the ref is like, I don't know what the score is, the way you're acting. I was like, it's fine. At that age, you don't need to do the screaming, the yelling. They're going to do the playing.
Yeah, exactly. Especially at that age. I mean, a lot of the kids will feed off of the coach. So, you know what I mean? If they see coach screaming and yelling, they're going to be like, scared, or they're not going to want to play, or they don't know what to do, nervous because they don't want to make a mistake. But if you're
Exactly.
calm, handling the situation, help them be calm, help them play better, things like that. So,
Now, besides doing that, you have any superstitions when it comes to the coaching?
um, definitely. I mean, it depends. Like baseball, I'll usually wear like the same. Like when I coach Little League, we just wear like me and my assistants wear matching pullovers. We don't have any set like uniform things you have to wear, but I'll wear the same shorts usually until we lose. I'll switch shorts,
Yeah.
um, and then I'll listen hockey. I'll always listen to the same song driving to the game. It'll be the last song I listen to before I get out of the car and walk into the game.
That's one of the questions I always ask at the end, but I'll ask it now. What's that song?
Uh, Thunderstruck.
Thunderstruck. Who's
Yeah,
that by?
just kind AC/DC.
Okay, all right. That was it.
Just
So you
like
need to get pumped up for it's weird because like whenever I'm about to play a game, I need something that's gonna mellow me out, not get
yeah,
me going. And
yeah.
people think it's crazy, but I listen to country and it calms me down.
No kidding.
Yeah, I listen to like
Wow.
Luke Combs. I listen to like Luke Combs or Kane
Yeah,
Brown, and I'm sitting there playing.
no
And
kidding.
like when I was in high school, for some reason I don't know what it was. I would listen to Backstreet,
Really?
and everyone around me like scared
Yeah,
rock going rap. I'm sitting
yeah,
listening to Backstreet, I'm getting like mellowed out, about to play a
yeah.
game. And like, how does that get you going? I'm like, oh, this calms me down.
Yeah. I
I,
mean, whatever works, but wow.
I can't get pumped up when they're screaming and yelling and jumping
Yeah,
around. It's never
yeah.
done it.
Wow. Yeah, some people, I mean, they gotta do whatever gets you motivated. That's what you want to do.
I know you mentioned that you do the pacing on the sideline, but what do you do for when you're at home or if you have that same feeling? What do you use like to mellow yourself out or calm the situation?
Um, for me, I think one of the biggest things I've learned in how to handle situations like that at home and stuff is just kind of like take a deep breath. And one, I put my phone down. I think that's one of the biggest things is get off your phone, like, because you're always tempted to look at it. You go on social media, you might always see something you don't like, things like that, and just kind of breathe, to be honest. Just take a few deep breaths. I think one of the biggest things people can do too at home is like if you have free time, I think the biggest thing is exercise. Um, I love to run. I don't necessarily lift weights all the time, but I'll run 3 or 4 miles a day. When I have my worst feelings for anxiety, like if I'm getting heavy chest pain and things like that, I'll probably take a nap for an hour. But if I get something that doesn't seem too crazy, things like that, I'll put the headphones on. I won't listen to pump up music. I'll listen to something that'll calm me down, like some low key music with a good beat. Go for a nice jog, stay off the phone, look at the scenery, kind of thing. And just calm yourself down, mellow out. Then usually that kind of takes care of everything. But
Yeah, I know like when I listen to a lot of podcasts. I work a third shift, so I
yeah,
listen to a lot of podcasts. And somebody got me onto Ed Milet,
yeah,
and he's got a podcast. He has a great one. And another one I listened to was I forget what podcast but it was with Lamar Odom.
yeah. I
And
think about that.
he
Yeah,
was talking when he was going through his depression. He was saying the worst thing he would do is whenever he was getting depressed or down, he would look at what his ex girlfriends were doing,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
that would make it worse.
yeah.
And then that's when he would turn to the alcohol or he would turn to the drugs even more. So someone
Exactly.
that's dealing with depression, what are your views on that when it turns to drinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well, so when I first started this, it was like 2 years ago. I was in college. I was living in a house with my friends. So like we were drinking, doing all that kind of stuff. So it was like I've seen enough on the media, superstars, things like that to know like that's not how you should handle the situation. But
Hmm.
you don't want to be that guy. And I've definitely had my fair share of nights where it's caused me to do things like that and just kind of get out of control. But you got to look in the mirror sometimes and just be like, you know, what are you doing? This isn't who you are. And I think one of the biggest things um, is like, with the drinking, everyone, can casually drink, but you got to be able to kind of handle it. And I think if you don't feel good, if you feel like you're feeling your anxiety's kicking or it's going to kick in or you got that bad gut feeling, just stay away from it. Don't even be like, all right, I'm just not going to drink tonight, blah, blah, blah. Like, if I'm with my boys and I don't feel great, I'll be like, yeah, I'll drive tonight. You
Yeah.
guys have a little fun. I'll be the guy. I'll drive, relax. That's it. That kind of thing. But I think it's especially at a being over 21. Like obviously, I think you got to handle it differently. But for some of the kids that are underage and things like that, I mean, I think that's the worst way that they can handle it because you'll get in trouble for numerous reasons and stuff like that. But you can just Sure, it might help you for that one night, kind of forget about everything, but you could have a lifelong of regret if something
Exactly.
bad happens to you, things like that. So it's just about kind of, what's the best way to kind of handle the situation. So
You know, the other thing too is like a lot of people they want to turn to like people of the past.
yeah, yeah,
One thing I tell my friends is like the person you always want to have that support system.
yeah, yeah,
You want to turn to someone that's gonna like make you feel better at the time, not someone that's gonna bring up more negative.
exactly.
And one of my buddies, every time he would be down or upset, he would want to call an ex-girlfriend or he want to call. And I'm
Yeah,
like, that's the worst thing you do. So
yeah,
that's why I'm like, oh, whenever you're going, just put your phone. Or I want to go online and like
yeah,
post something online about how he's feeling. I'm like,
yeah,
that's the worst thing to do. So putting
yeah,
your phone down is clutch. Not just reading stuff, but then you always nowadays with social media, they want to go on and write how they're feeling. Or
yeah, exactly. Oh
and
yeah,
I see a lot of them always like a couple of years ago, like the big thing was I don't feel like being here anymore. And it was
yeah,
almost like these young kids were saying it a lot. I'm like, you don't understand what that means.
exactly. Yeah, it's
And
not something you want to say, joke around about.
I had a kid. There was a when I was coaching my youth program, a high school kid got killed over at Shea High School,
Oh wow.
and one of the kids I was real close friends with him, and so he posted online like he took my friend. I want to go with him. I don't feel like being here.
Yeah.
So I was trying to call him, but then he was at school and he couldn't answer his phone. So I knew one of the teachers at the school. And so she went to check on him, and he was in class, so she put him out. He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was like, "Why would you write that?" He's like, "Oh no, it's a lyric to a song." I'm like,
So
"Really?" I was
God.
just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Man, you can't say stuff." He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, 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 it's just lyric to a song." I'm like,
Yeah. It's not the
some of the
perception
music,
you
it's like
get.
songs about it now.
Yeah. Oh man.
Even
Yeah.
like my nephew was like, I want to say like 13 or 14. There was a song about it's called "Suicide Push Me to the Edge," and I'm like, this is the lyrics to the song now, and I'm just like.
Yeah. Oh
So like, how
man.
do you like kids at the high school age who are like big into posting? Like, what do
Yeah.
you tell them when they're dealing with something like that?
Um. Yeah. I mean, it's you got to be very careful about especially what you post, when you post it, who you're talking to, especially as an athlete. I think that's one of the biggest things, especially just the day and age we live in now more than ever. People can take things very offensively and stuff like that. So if you don't have a reason to post something, I don't think people should do it. Or like, don't just, you see people, they'll just post like a picture of themselves because they look good, and they'll put like a funky lyric on it or something like
Yeah,
that. The lyric could be like derogatory, or it could mean something, in their perception. It has nothing, it's just a lyric, so they don't think anything of it, but they're a kid. So
yeah,
that's what they're gonna think, but they don't know what it's gonna be like going on the outside. So, I think it's just about kind of, controlling what, like, everyone wants to post stuff when you're upset and stuff like that, and you want to draw attention to yourself. That's one of the other reasons why. So I think it's just about, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you got to be very cautious of the platform you use, and what you're posting, where you're posting it, what you're saying in it, stuff like that. So, um, I wouldn't say going out and just posting something is definitely the best thing for them to do, but I think, there's ways for them to, be able to kind of post stuff or journalize stuff that the world doesn't need to see, but will help them at the same time kind of, feel a little better about what they did. And if posting is going to help them, feel better in the situation, they just got to find the right way to do it. So,
I know. Like last year with everything, especially with like COVID and also with like a lot of diversity training we've been going through.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I coach a lot of minorities. I
yeah,
coach a lot of kids who aren't used to the adversity they're going through. And I thought I would have like a lot of training I would have to go through, or like a lot of
yeah,
button of heads. And I was surprised I really did it. Like one thing is just the youth now are they're more open.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the one that I was like the toughest about was when it came to like the LGBTQ.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like one of the kids said that he'd have no problem playing with kids from a different race. He just would never play with a gay person. I'm like, you
Oh,
can't say that. But he was like,
yeah,
no, just being open. I'm like, yeah.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
just like they're open about some things, which he tried to say like I have no problem playing with white kids. I just don't
yeah,
want to play with gay kid. I'm like, no, no, you
yeah,
started off great. You should have
yeah, yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Oh
So
man.
it's
Yeah,
like making kids more aware of what they say.
yeah, exactly.
And just yeah, because I haven't dealt like with a situation where it was like the mental aspect of the kid was dealing with that,
Yeah,
and I think that one will be real tough because I can't relate to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can talk to him about being as open as possible, but just try.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to explain my views on it. It was one of the hardest talks I had to have. And
Yeah.
I was like trying to explain. He's like, so it's fine for him to be, be gay and be in my locker room. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Why is that? I'm like,
Oh
so I had
yeah.
to actually have another coach help me with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is tough. Wow. But that's, I mean, that's one of the other things is like, being a coach, it's more than just kind of now more than ever. It's more than just, X's and O's and talking about sports. You gotta know life. They're gonna ask you questions, stuff like that. So it's a tough thing to talk about.
Not only that, too, is like dealing with the younger age group. I had a team. We had 12 kids on my team, and only two of the kids had a father figure at home. So it was like some of the questions like one kid would ask, it was just like trying to find the right words.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause we didn't want to say, tell your mom or dad because it wasn't a mom or dad, or
yeah,
tell your
exactly.
parent, and then,
Yeah,
some kid didn't have. So trying to find like the right language to use nowadays, it's like touchy because you don't want to affect a kid at that age.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
And I coached my first, one of the kids I coached was a single family. Another one had two moms, and that's who raised her.
wow.
And she was perfectly fine. So it's like trying to use the right language. I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. I don't want
Yeah, exactly.
use that to pick on because when kids find that out and they start picking on at a young age,
Oh yeah, forget.
then that's a tough one.
Oh yeah.
So what's the biggest advice you give an eighth grader going into high school when it was dealing with stress right now?
Um, I mean, I would probably just tell them like you got to go in, open minded, clear head, kind of like you're going from, especially coaching middle school baseball. So I do have some of these conversations with kids, and you're going from eighth grade, you're like the big man at school, the oldest
Yeah,
kid there, and now you're going to be right back to the bottom. You're going to be the little guy there. And I tell them it's don't be scared. That's the biggest thing is you can't be scared. They're people just like you. And time goes by quick. Especially I tell the athletes going into high school, I'm like, this is the step you got to make right now. Where if you want to, be that freshman that makes varsity, or you want to be the freshman that makes JV, and then you don't know why you made varsity. I said, this is that time right here that's going to make the difference. Your summer going into freshman year, and just also how you're going to handle it mentally. You can't just assume you're going to walk in there because you're a good athlete or something like that. So, my biggest thing is just go in with a clear heart, open mind, kind of work hard. Always think someone else is working harder than you. You want to outwork that person, and then just kind of like don't be scared. Go in there and then live your life and just kind of be open to new things, open to new challenges, and just be ready to take on the world. You can go in there with that mindset, and I mean, you could do anything after that.
now, would you give that same advice to a senior leaving, or would it be a little bit more different?
Um, I think it'd probably be the same, but I would definitely talk a little bit about how fast the time goes by. What I mean, because I remember when I first started coaching high school, and then the kids that were freshmen, and then when they graduated, the seniors, and how close I was with them. And literally, I was at URI at school, and they were becoming freshmen at URI, and it's like I was just coaching these kids. They we're in college together, and it's like, so I would tell them just like, hey, high school was fun, you enjoyed it, but see how fast it went by. So the same thing going to be in college, and you just kind of got to like. I think the biggest thing I would also add to them is just high school, you're on a strict, 8 to 2 schedule, practice after school, that's it. Whereas college, schedule's going to be spread out like that. So you want to be able to stay strong, go to class, make sure you're doing all your work, you have fun, have a good time, enjoy it, obviously, but, just got to prioritize what comes first. You get your education, you have your fun, and time goes by, and then, you're in the real world. So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, I know definitely. Well, like, a lot of my seniors, like their biggest thing is they feel like they're losing out because they're senior year as far as recruiting with football.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they weren't able to. So we're actually trying to play football in 3 weeks. We're starting practice,
Oh, no kidding.
and we're gonna have a spring football. And
Yeah.
it's more so for the juniors because I mean the seniors already have their game tape from the last 3 years, but they lost
Yeah.
out big. But the juniors definitely want to get out there. And
Yeah.
I'm coaching a lot of the freshmen who just want to get on the field and play, and like they feel like they've been cooped up, and
Yeah.
we're doing hybrid learning at LaSalle.
Yeah.
So they're being around their friends, but just putting the pads on is just different.
Oh, yeah. No,
And
it's
a
not the
couple
same.
of them, man, like it's their first time playing football. They got all excited in the summertime, and then it just shut down.
Yeah. Oh.
So they would develop it. You could see the progress, and all of a sudden they
Yeah,
haven't played football in 3 months.
yeah, it's tough.
And
Time
even
off.
just like the social aspect of being in the school, it's like you're there for a day, then you're not there for 2 days, and you're there
Yeah,
for a day.
crazy. It's crazy, and it's not good. Whether high school, middle school, elementary school, it's like that's just not good. There's no normalcy there where you're confused. Why am I going to school one day but not the next? Why can I play sports now but I can't in 2 weeks? Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like I think it's best for at this point we just got to deal with what's going on, and
Yeah,
you got to let the kids play. You got to let them play because they need this because school's online, so you know what they're not learning as much. Is spade's a spade. They're not. It's different than learning in person. But then you take sports away after that. I can't imagine being a student in high school, learning from home, not
yeah.
playing sports right now. That's not right.
And it's crazy because like when they're looking around and they're seeing like high school sports all over the country playing,
Yeah,
and then you get that feeling, why me? And why can they do it and we can't? And as a
yeah,
coach, you don't have that answer.
no,
And then it makes it worse when soccer's playing. So then soccer's playing, but then you can't play basketball. Then basketball plays, you can't play football. So some of the kids
yeah,
are like, we had some kids who like they said, we can't play football, we're gonna play basketball.
yeah,
And now football and basketball are gonna cross paths. They're gonna be at the same time.
yeah. It's gonna overlap. That's the thing. It's a tough. If the sports are coming back, what are you gonna do for? Do you offer fall sports in the spring? But what about the kids that play spring and the fall, that kind of stuff? So I don't know, what they're gonna do there, but that's tough.
And then the other thing too is like at a younger age, like my son's 9.
Yep.
He goes to school full time, which is good. But a lot of the youth sports, like these kids haven't done nothing around other kids in over a year.
Yeah.
So like the development of at that age is just stunting there. It's stunting them at a young age.
Yeah, it's not good. Oof.
So the question, so I know we'll probably wrap up shortly, but what you want to leave with some advice for just a person who's dealing with it or a person who has questions but is afraid to really ask, because right now that's the key thing is just getting it out there. I'll put your link in the blog so everyone can have your blog. But what's the main thing you tell somebody who wants to ask questions but still kind of like they don't know you, they don't know me, but then they
Yeah.
see this blog and they're like,
Yeah.
I don't just go to someone who I don't know or listen to someone I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, the biggest thing is you can't be scared about it. You gotta be able to open up, and I think that's the scariest thing about going through this and trying to figure out what the solution is going to be is, I can't go to my friends because I don't want them to judge me. But if I want to tell someone else, I don't know who this person is, so why should I tell them? And my advice is just that when you finally do tell somebody, or you finally talk to somebody about it, their response is they're not going to judge you, and you're going to feel like it's like a monkey off your back. You're going to feel so much better about it. So that's my biggest thing is just you gotta talk about it, because the more you build it up inside, the worse you're going to feel over time, whether it's 1 month, 6 months, or 3 years. It doesn't get better if you don't talk about it. And once you talk about it and you get it out, and then you meet someone else who suffers from the same thing, and now you're talking together about it, and then you're finding solutions about it, and then you realize, there's 16 million people, in the world that suffer from this. So everyone's got a solution to it. So biggest thing is just don't be afraid to go out there, talk to somebody about it. And it's one of the things I want to do on my website is just kind of like give people an anonymous way to, hey, this is going on in my life right now, but they don't want to leave their name or, their first name or something like that. They don't know who I am. I don't know who they are, but they're looking for an answer or just a little piece of advice, a little help, because people might not realize like anxiety can come in from all situations. It could be strictly just an athlete in high school, just having anxiety from the game, or it could be somebody who has anxiety from a relationship, or school. Like there's so many different situations and stuff like that people can have anxiety from. So we want people to be able to, give us specific situations that they only feel anxiety in this situation. So what should I do when I feel that way, and how to handle that situation and go from there. So, but my biggest advice is definitely just, take that next step. Don't be afraid. It's good. It's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel a little, queasy about opening up about it. But the second you tell someone and you start talking about it, you're gonna feel 100 times better.
There's definitely a power in numbers, and having a support system is key, definitely.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so, we're going to wrap up, but we always have a little rapid fire questions. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You just shoot off the top, whatever comes to your head. little less serious ones, more some joking ones, and
Absolutely.
the first one, my son's a diehard Fortnite guy.
Yep.
So if you jump out of a helicopter, it's you and five people. You
Yeah.
gotta survive on an island for 1 week. Who you taking?
Um, I'm gonna take Dwayne Johnson. Um, oh God. Jennifer Aniston.
Hey,
Um, and I think I'll take my brother and my best friend Eddie. Yeah.
your go-to meal.
Penne pink vodka sauce with shrimp.
Nice, nice. I know you're a big hockey guy, so you're playing a 5-on-5 hockey game.
Yep.
It's you and four people who's playing with you.
Alex Ovechkin, Patrice Bergeron, Connor McDavid, and Wayne Gretzky.
Okay. And now put you on blast with some of your friends here. If it's you and four of your friends, what four make your team?
Tough. My boy Eddie, definitely. My buddy Mike, Sweeney, and Wilma.
All right, and we kind of hit on it earlier, but what's your go-to music song? I know you said that was for your driving in, but just go-to music type. What you listening to?
I like a lot of kind of popish. I'm a huge country guy. Love country, but I'm more of a country in the summer, windows down kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I do like a little mellow pop music. Not huge into rap. I would probably just say a little light pop kind of stuff.
And your top 5 favorite athletes, any sport?
Favorite athlete of all time is definitely Derek Jeter.
Thank you. Yep, that's back-to-back person said that.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
love Jeter. Alex Ovechkin, my favorite hockey player. Paul Pierce was basketball. Eli Manning, my football guy, as a Giants fan.
You lost me on those last two.
Yeah.
I'm a Laker fan, so that one hurt.
And then Austin Matthews, hockey player.
And your greatest coaching moment?
I want to say it was definitely last summer. Yeah, we won the New England championship just because we host this tournament up here in Cranston on Hope Road at Briggs Field. So every year we have teams come in from we do New England and we do the Mid-Atlantic, so New York, Maryland, Jersey.
Nice.
So, and we always volunteer to help out the tournament because we never got into it. We never won the states to get in. Last summer we won states and we got in, and this game was the New England championship. We were losing. We came back, took the lead. They came back, tie game, extra innings. There was an hour and a half lightning delay.
Wow.
So it's 10 o'clock at night. We took the lead on a crazy hit, and then they had the winning run on second base. And one of our guys made a diving catch in the outfield with 2 outs that sealed. There's a crazy video of it, and it was just that feeling, and seeing those kids how happy they were. And my best friend James was the other. He was the head coach of the team. I was the assistant, and me and him we met playing on the same team, 10-year-old All-Stars. We met 14 years ago playing there. So it was just one of those moments where it's like, this is so crazy putting all this together, and just the chills in your body at that time was just unbelievable.
I never got a chance to go to Williamsport or Little League World Series.
I never coached there, but the league I coach in, they've gone a couple times. So actually in 2015, our 12-year-old team went. So me and all my buddies took a trip up, got a hotel room for a few nights. We went up, saw the complex. Beautiful complex.
Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list. On the bucket list to go
to. See the teams from different countries come in, and just the talent there at that age. It's an amazing place to go. Definitely recommend it.
Well, this one just popped in my head. But what's your favorite baseball stadium other than Fenway?
Yankees fan, so I'm gonna say Yankee Stadium.
The original or the one that Jeter built?
I'd probably say the original. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife actually she took me to a Yankee game a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And she got me seats with the bleacher creatures. She didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And she's a Red Sox fan, unfortunately, and she had a Red Sox bracelet on, and she was like scared to wear it. I was like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine." I was. We went down there and they played the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun to be in that stadium.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. It's so sick.
Yeah, hopefully have a better year this year.
I know. It's some good signings, so we'll see what happens.
Toronto's looking good.
Yeah, they're making moves. They're making moves. Scary, but
before we go, you wanna let everyone know where they can find you and find your information.
yep, yeah. So you can go on Instagram at the Coaching Mentality. That's our business's Instagram. My personal Instagram is at Antsim _ Twitter is at Antsim12. And our website is thecoachingmentality.net. You can go right on there. We have a Facebook page too, The Coaching Mentality. You can go to either of those. We have submission forms, contact forms on there. We have blogs that we post. We're going to have podcasts and stuff like that. Questionnaires coming out. So it's at The Coaching Mentality.
I'll definitely be adding on all of those. We'll definitely be in contact. Definitely have to do it again and get a camera on to join us. Make it look better, definitely, man.
For sure.
All right, great talking to you. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem.